Now we're going to talk about TPM, one of my other favorite topics on lean, and we're going to talk about the approach from a lean point of view, what we'd like to set up from our maintenance and equipment and reliability. And again, like other topics, it may not be exactly what you think from a lean point of view, so hopefully I'll answer some of your questions about what we mean by this. When we talk about a total productive maintenance, or TPM, we want to achieve maximal equipment effectiveness, and it's through employee involvement. That means management, operators, and maintenance. A lot of people think it's just a maintenance thing when you think TPM, but it's not. It's trying to get everybody involved. Just like when we talked about before, lean and the theme of focusing on the process and getting everybody involved, this means getting everybody involved. And what is everybody's role in a TPM process? What we're looking for is machine stability and effectiveness, sort of like the old-fashioned Maytag repairman, that he sat and wait for calls because things were just running so smoothly. That's the kind of processes that we want to have set up. So the mind shift we want to shift from is typically is I operate the machine, you fix it. I as an operator work on the machine, you in maintenance, you fix it. We want to shift that to saying we treat this equipment like it was our own. How many people have had the luxury of buying a brand new car? Okay? How did you treat that car the first week you had it? Yes. Where did you park? Okay. Were you worried about who was parked next to you? How were you when you drove it? Okay. Did you notice the potholes a little bit more? Okay. Now that summer, how often did you wash it and clean it? Were you allowed to eat or drink inside your car when you first had it? Okay. Now, what if you had the car for about 5 years? You may have got rid of it already, yes. But some of us keep our cars a little bit longer. But if you kept the car longer, okay, how do you treat that different than from your very car fresh off the lot? Do you worry so much about spills, who you park next to, hitting occasional pothole, and it gets washed when it rains? Okay? So we treat our equipment differently. Now, knowing that's part of human nature, look at our equipment in the plants. Are they looking and acting and operating like a brand new car off the lot? Or are they looking like you had that car for 5 years? And how do people treat that piece of equipment as a result? If we treat our equipment well, do you think others would treat it well? More than likely. So what we want to do is focus on our teamwork, look at skills, look at how operators interact with the machine, look how maintenance will interact with the machine. We want to make sure our machines are more available to do work. That doesn't mean it's working all the time, but it should be available that it does work all the time. Remember, we don't want to overproduce. And we want to look at how can a good TPM approach save us money, so we're not replacing equipment prematurely or spending a lot of money on repairs. Again, this is not just a maintenance department program. This is not just an event or a workshop, although typically when we teach a TPM, we tie it to a Kaizen event, because this is just like swimming, like we mentioned before. We can talk about it, but until you actually get your hands dirty and start doing it, you don't understand the true process of a TPM and what you can learn from it. So we tie it to an actual event where people can experience this. It's not a way to eliminate the skilled trade staff, which typically are considered a cost or an expense to companies. So we're not trying to eliminate maintenance or high skilled. And we're not trying to make operators into skilled tradesmen. That's not the approach either. We're not trying to get operators to replace the whole role of maintenance. So those are misconceptions when people think TPM. Mr. Ito basically said, one of the Japanese consultants, machines and equipment are the heart of our factories and offices. So if we have good hearts, we have good health, good companies. So we want to make sure that we treat our health, our heart, in a good manner. So speaking of our health, how would we treat ourselves in a good manner? Well, we probably may not follow all these practices, but we know if we exercise regularly, say take 30 minutes of a brisk walk every day, if we eat 5 or 6 small meals instead of 2 large ones and one 8 o'clock at night when we get back home, and if we get checkups regularly, if we did these things, would we be in a better healthy condition than if we didn't? Yes. Now, looking at that as an example of our health, Look at our equipment. If we exercise by sorting, straightening, and shining, by giving proper lubrication and air filter changes, and by doing performance checks on it, would our equipment operate in a healthier manner? Well, yes. Okay? So this is the approach that we want to take. Now, there's a lot of opportunities in this. When you have a failure in a piece of equipment, that's usually the tip of the iceberg. There's a lot of hidden defects that we find in machines when we go deeper into the machine. And usually that doesn't surface unless the machine breaks or it doesn't perform, but they're existing. What we're trying to do is to uncover some of these hidden issues and correct them while they're still small. We want to build a very strong, healthy company. We also want to build stronger people. If we incorporate people into operating the equipment, we're also developing and building them in the process and understanding the machines. And we want to focus on zero breakdowns, zero losses. Now, a lot of people have troubles with the zero goals. For instance, does people have a safety goal? Do you have a safety goal? Okay, what's your safety goal? Zero. Okay. Do you have a quality goal? Is it zero? Okay, that's good. Some companies don't. Some companies say, safety goal, we'll allow 0.5 incidences per 3 months, okay, or something along those lines. Okay, so you're saying that, yes, we're going to have some accidents, and this is the acceptable level of injuries we're going to have on our people. No, I say zero should be our goal. Same thing with quality, it should be a zero goal. We don't want any defects. We don't want any quality issues to our customer. Same thing with our equipment. We want to take the bold stance of saying we want zero breakdowns, zero losses in our equipment. We don't want to accept that it's going to happen, or at least our goal is to reach that perfection level even though we're not there yet. So we want to prevent breakdowns. That's one of the approaches we want to do. We want to look at modifying our equipment to prevent those breakdowns and make it easier to maintain them. And we'll explain more about what that is. And we want to look at designing and installing equipment that needs little maintenance. So we don't want to buy equipment that is going to be a maintenance nightmare. And we're going to look at how we repair things. So these are the 8 key strategies, and we'll cover most of them at various levels in depth. But we want to focus on how to make equipment more efficient. What does that mean? Autonomous maintenance, which is where we involve the employees. What is a planned maintenance? What does that look like for maintenance? What kind of training should we do? What about early equipment management program when you buy new equipment? What is quality maintenance activities? A system to make sure that we have the admin to support it, and what kind of system do we look at from a safety and environmental issues? Those are the basic 8 pillars that we look at in a full TPM process. One of the realities that we all are facing right now today, because that's all good for what we want for a full TPM, but right now today, I'd have to say that it's a true statement that machines do break down, right? Okay, right now today. So let's deal with today first, and then move to where we need to go to. Machines do break down.